creative, sex symbol, anything.
International sex symbol.
Hell yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's the one.
Latin lover.
Latin lover. Welcome back to Game Plan the Podcast. I'm your host, Davis Cole, and joined as always by our producer, Juice.
Yo.
Today's guest is a creative as well as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Please welcome to the podcast, Ivan J.
Hey.
But then when you say there's an ear,
That's the logic behind
that's
it.
overtly sexual right there.
Yeah. And when there is eye contact in an ear, that's when it gets weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think about this for a lot of like the spicy creators. It's like when you're just at home and you make that stuff and then you stop recording. You just gotta
like, now what?
Deal with who you are as a person
like,
who's
I was
just
like,
well, that just
I
happened.
just fucking tongue punched a fake ear for a half an hour. Now what's next? You know what I mean?
Maybe they pay the rent with that 1 ear moment.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest regrets in life is not starting an OnlyFans sooner. You know? 2020?
Sooner.
Yeah.
You just say sooner.
Yeah.
2020, dude, it would have been the time. Everybody's getting stimulus checks, bored at home.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right, Roland,
Yeah, we're all good.
you didn't need a clap last time. Do we not need a clap?
We never really need a clap, but I like to do it for continuity.
Okay.
Let's do it.
As I said clap, I could smell that I still have wet dog smell.
Oh,
I'm giving the dog
You
a
can
bath.
smell your clap? Or?
Yeah, I can
Jesus.
smell the clap.
Yeah. Go ahead, give me a clap. Just one clap for the mic. Sick.
Boom.
Beautiful.
Well, my first order of business with you guys was, did you see that Gordon Ryan, I guess, doxed? Is that the word I'm looking for? Doxed? Train Angry MMA?
Oh, really?
Oh, I read
Did
about
you
it
see that
this
last night?
morning. Something about the family and stuff like that.
Yeah, so Gordon's post, he even took his Guy Fawkes mask. Like, this is Gordon's post, but it looks just like Train Angry's.
Yeah.
And the first slide is social justice warrior Train Angry MMA really a wife beater? And then it shows his Facebook. And then from the California Fresno County arrests inflict corporal injury on spouse co-inhabitant, felony false imprisonment with violence, 2017. So I don't know if this is actually the guy, but it's like Gordon trying to talk to both of them in Instagram DMs and like, this is the guy.
Fuck, man.
So
Not good.
very interesting.
I wonder how that happened. Did he
how he figured out who
hire
it was.
like a private investigator for this guy who keeps on talking shit?
Or he got someone on Instagram
Yeah.
and somebody just like,
Well, the guy had a tag on his Facebook to Train Angry MMA.
Okay.
So I bet if you spent enough time on Google typing in Train Angry and like Train Angry Facebook, you could probably just find it just from searching.
probably.
You would have to be very dedicated, which I feel like Gordon or somebody else was super dedicated to figuring out who this guy was.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then Train Angry says, this isn't about me trying to hide anything. It was never my story to tell. The only person who had the right to tell that story was the victim. Part of me knows they come at me hard because they know I'm right. I mean, it just doesn't look good because he's trying to take this stance of being like the perfect social justice warrior and standing up for women in jiu-jitsu. But like, if you have a case against you for violence against women, most dudes, I think, will just kind of write you off.
Yeah.
You know, it does seem a little bit hypocritical. And I just gave him a shout out on like our 2 episodes ago of like, hey, at least he's trying to cover all this stuff and say who said what.
I think that everything is just going downhill, man. I mean, if you think how it all started, all this drama in the jiu-jitsu world and where we are right now, I think that people should really stop and just think about it for 3 seconds, dude. Like, people is pulling out like court records, police footage. It goes both ways. I think that it can only get worse.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing if you're still arguing with each other with the focus of like trying to keep gyms safe
That's
or something
different.
like that.
I think that
But
that's
it's just become this like gotcha game between like
Yeah.
Train Angry and Craig and then Gordon.
Yeah.
And then like I can it feels like the rage addiction with it feels exactly like the news, like on like a, I don't
Yeah.
know, it could be Epstein
Yeah.
list or whatever,
Agreed.
where every day I'm like, all right, what's the new drama between Train Angry and Gordon? And like
Yeah.
Gordon will engage with everything,
Hmm.
and this guy's been coming after him pretty hard, so I'm sure that it's just like two dudes on their phones all day.
Yeah, but now on Reddit yesterday, something showed up also. The what did they call it? They call it the Gordon text files or something like that. And it's a video of actual DMs coming up, Gordon and someone else. And I don't know if it's Trent Angry or something, but it got to a point where I'm like, dude, like people is very dedicated to this on both sides. Like it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that it's like the dedication to the rage part and
Yeah.
not really the dedication to any actual stance on
Yeah.
anything or anything for the
Helping
sport.
anything. It's
No.
Exactly.
just
Just making
pulling
everything
shit
worse.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like those guys always say like, "Oh, this is uh this is for the growth of the sport. We're doing marketing." And it's like, I don't
I don't
really
know,
think
dude.
this is helping grow the sport.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I did see, talking about growth of the sport, I think it was last night or something like that. I saw a post saying that ADCC was raising competition prizes,
Okay, that's good. That
right?
is
Have
good.
y'all seen this?
Yeah, they've moved like I think absolute from like 40K to 50K. They had like two bonuses. One was the best 3K for the best sub, 3K for the best takedown.
What was it before, like one or something? Or
I
no
don't even know if there
bonuses?
was
There
like,
was no bonus
yeah, I don't
No
before.
think there was
bonuses.
bonuses for like moves like that. And I don't know. I can't remember who posted that. Was it like ADCC?
Well, if that's the case, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a small improvement for the winner though. From
I
40K
mean,
to 50K. I mean,
So at least a step in the right direction,
yeah, dude. Fuck.
right?
yeah, I mean, the thing we were talking about on that other episode with ADCC still has Isaac Mitchell on the card for this year, right?
Yeah, I don't. Do you think that's gonna like stand? Do you think he'll stay on
Nah,
there?
He's
there's
not gonna
no
show up.
way.
That's when you have a police request to just hey, just go to the police station. I think that that's one of those things. Like that's it. Like if you show up in America, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Trying to find the new pay structure.
Nice.
It just says purses doubled in every weight division, increase in the absolute and super fight as well. So I think it's like a marginal increase. But yeah, I agree with you that like to me, we only have like the few guys. People call it Craig Jones #2, Gordon #1, and the level of pettiness that they'll engage with online. Like I don't know if there's. I mean, maybe like 50 Cent does that kind of stuff.
It's a 50 Cent Puff Daddy situation, I feel. Yeah. But again, I think that how bad that is going to take, it's very similar to what's going on here. Like every single week, you got new files, new DMs, new things, new. I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna one up you. I really don't think that that helps anybody. I really don't.
Do we see this in other sports?
That's why I was trying to think of like the 50 Cent thing, because when I said that, I was trying to think of like other major sports, and I don't think that you have athletes like engaging
Yeah.
with this kind of stuff.
I think that the difference with jiu-jitsu, and for me personally, jiu-jitsu is not a sport. Jiu-jitsu is a lifestyle with a component of athletic situation, right? There is no governing body because the IBJJF or the IBJJ, whatever, it only governs on the competitions, but there is no code of conduct. Like once you do soccer and you're a professional, you know that you got that organization. Basketball is the same. Every big sport. Jiu-jitsu is not a sport. If you really think about it, there is no governing body, and I think that it's for the better. But at the same time, it got so big, in my opinion, that somebody should put at least some guardrails to be like, if you're competing here, things that you cannot do. If you want to be part of this, there needs to be some sort of like a moral type of like check in or some sort of like stuff like that. So it keeps it a little bit safe. But I really don't think that jiu-jitsu is a sport per se. That's my opinion.
So like, what governing bodies or whatever would you say run like basketball or something?
Well, you got the basketball association of every country. In every country, there is a big organization that pretty much takes care of all the professionals that are
Okay.
part of that. So, in order for you to play in a professional league, you need to be associated with that. It's the same thing with the NBA. You got the NBA here in the U.S., but the NBA also has the women NBA, right? So, if you're a professional player, you're part of that organization. And as we have seen in the NFL and other people, you got a code of conduct, you got the code of dressing, how do you have to dress, things that you can do and you cannot do because it affects the organization, right? And the way and the ability to make money. So I don't know. I think that jiu-jitsu is very fragmented. I want to think that it grew a lot in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. And I think that's why we're seeing all this bullshit going on because people want to be the best
That's
from
me.
a
I'm a part of the
personality
bullshit.
trait.
I joined in the last 5 years. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. Sorry. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Ever since you joined, it's just gone down.
Everything's
just
just gone
went
downhill.
downhill.
Yeah.
No, but I think that it's a matter of just like before it was so small and now it looks like, oh, I need to be the most petty. I need to be the most vocal. And it's a one-up game. And I just,
I mean, that's not for everybody though, right? Like,
no.
it's just like for the names that we talked about, like
Yeah.
Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan, blah blah blah. But there's still a ton of like athletes that compete in the sport that
Yeah.
don't really engage in all the bullshit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And some of the best ones do not engage. Marcelo Garcia, I don't think that you have seen that guy part of anything negative, right? Then you have some others that did, but I think that the OGs from back in the day, there are a lot that have never engaged in any of this stuff. Others have, but
Yeah.
in general, the OGs from back then, when it was so small that you had to, oh, I need to do a seminar or I will not eat. Those people, I don't think that they're getting engaged in this bullshit. It's all these new guys.
Yeah, and I also feel like when you're trying to like capture a larger audience and trying to grow fans, like it doesn't do you any favors to put yourself in some kind of like political
Yeah.
side. Whereas now I think the attitude's like, oh, I'm so big, I have my fans no matter what. They won't leave me
Yeah.
just because I talk about my politics or something. But I do wish that like what you were saying with like the NBA, where like they have some freedom on like post game conferences and press conferences and stuff, but they also have stuff in their contract that's like it can't make that organization look
Yeah.
bad. It can't make the whole NBA look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a lot more like general code of conduct. It seems for like pretty much every other professional sport.
Yeah.
You know, like the PGA, they definitely have some like standards of professionalism that you can't break. But I feel like,
Is that golf?
yeah,
Let's go.
I,
Got it.
I feel like part of it though is like in the combat sports world, you have like people like Dana White who repeats himself all the time of like, I don't care what these guys say. I'm not putting anybody on a leash. So from like the biggest organization within combat sports, the attitude is very much of like, these guys are kind of independent contractors. So if they want to go out there and say their political thing or whatever, like I'm not here to control them. So I feel like for all the smaller like jiu-jitsu organizations, it's going to be like the same attitude. Like, oh, well, who am I to tell these guys what they can and cannot say?
Is this going to continue? Like let's be honest. Like once the UFC signs a $3 billion deal with Paramount Plus, is that going to be the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can say whatever they want, and Paramount people, hey, we paid you $3 billion. We want more people watching this. We cannot have your guys say
Wild shit.
ABC.
Yeah.
Somebody can say that he needs to poop after the fight. That's funny. But from that to just say certain other things, is Paramount Plus going to allow it? I think that once you do certain deals, you need to really understand that you're not in the same little league that you were before, being the UFC or being anybody else. So yeah, I think that it's going to change. I'm not saying that I'm all for it, but I really think that if people want more professional approach to this, more money, I think that a little bit of rules, if you want to be part of that, if you don't, that's fine. You gotta be in a mindset where you need to just chill a little bit.
Do you think like increase in professionalism is proportional to the cap of a financial gain that an athlete could get?
I think that, yeah. So my background is in skateboarding, right? Like I started skateboarding, and I have seen a skateboarding when it was just in the street. Everybody was in the streets. They were trying to do their own thing. Little brands that started coming up, and then if you take that approach from late 80s and you take that approach to late 90s or early 2000s with the X Games, it's the same activity. But in the 2000s, people were making a lot of money because it was on TV. People were getting PlayStation games. They were getting sponsorships from Lexus, from all these companies, Toyota. Things change. A lot more people was part of it. But at the same time, that same professional approach, in my opinion, is what really killed the skateboarding these days. These days, the skateboarding is not the same. It's not as popular. There is not that much money. So I think that it's like this. Once it got so corporate, I think that it lost a little bit of its soul. People made a lot of money, but the soul was gone. And if you look at it, like 20 years ago, 20 years later, people is just like scrambling to make $500 a month. And I know that because I was part of that industry and I saw that trend and I saw all the ins and outs. And I'm like, fuck, man, I think that we were better off a little bit more, maybe a little bit more poor, but also a little bit more free. So I think that people need to look at both sides of the spectrum. I cannot be a
We're here, baby.
professional.
Porn free.
I think that that's my route too. Even just like from a corporate point of view, just work itself. I've been working on corporations and I decided to be a little bit poorer but free. And I think that my mindset is that right now. And I see that in Jiu-Jitsu. I just think that getting too corporate is never going to be good for the sport in general. People will make more money. They're going to be professional. So I think that people really need to choose what do you want to do. And if they want to be professional and rich, they need to just be a little bit more normal. And hey, you can still have a point of view. You just need to keep some things just out of, out of your mouth. Just tell your
Maybe.
wife, tell your friends, but just chill a little bit and just be more normal.
Yeah.
That's at least what I'm seeing. That's why I think that everything is spiraling. Everybody's just looking for attention.
Yeah. So it's just like a bit of a balance.
There should be a balance.
Right.
I think so. I mean, it's not that hard. Like we're all adults. I know what I can say in public, even though I'm poor and free, but I know what I can say in public and what I should just maybe, hey, I'm just going to keep it for home. I think that that's normal. It's a matter when you mix those two ideas, it gets a little like, fuck, dude, did you really need to say that?
Yeah, like this Saturday, Sean Strickland got a TKO, and he was saying a bunch of crazy shit on the mic.
Yeah.
And some of it is like what we were just talking about 2 episodes ago with all like the grooming going on in jiu-jitsu. He's kind of calling out his opponent's coach for having this questionable relationship with a young fighter before she was of age, and then getting with her as a grown woman. He's like calling out a groomer, which I'm like, I actually kind of support Sean Strickland on this side of it, right? But in the same speech, he'll say stuff of like making fun of gays as any chance he can get, And it's like, you didn't need to add that part. That's exactly to your point. It's like, all right, yeah, let's call out these guys that are being groomers. That's awful. But don't add to it of you being a homophobic asshole, And yeah, I think to your original question, I was thinking about like sponsorships in anything, right? Like you can look at YouTube monetized channels where like the silly lower quality content that's like pranks and stuff, it gets a lot of views, but like you can't get as good of deals for ads. Whereas like finance is like the highest in. To get like 1,000 views in finance versus 1,000 views in pranks, like you're going to make more in finance, and I'm sure a part of that goes into like, it's more polished. There's not going to be, a bunch of negativity with it. So like same here, if we're just talking about like aliens and crazy conspiracy theories all the time, like I think there'd be a lot of companies that would be like, yeah, I'm not messing with those guys that just talk about aliens and lizard people all the time, whereas like if it was kind of like what we've been putting out, I think it opens up the door for more opportunity. And I think like the more extreme you get on anything, the harder it is going to be to get good sponsors and have companies that look at it as like because every time you get a sponsor, you're like taking somebody who you want to have like this brand ambassador and you want them to represent the brand. So if it's like a good brand, they're going to make sure that they have people that are representing their stuff that align with whatever their kind of brand values are,
That's what I did. I built teams, and I had to choose people that could represent certain brands. And you need to make sure that who you're picking is not a fucking bad crazy person that is gonna say something or do something that at the end of the day it reflects on you too. So yeah, I think that it's a matter of just finding someone, understanding the goal first of all, as an athlete or as a person or someone who wants to do anything. I think that people need to like pick the lane. Do you want to be the rebel, or do you want to be the somehow of a rebel, someone that can just talk about products, just promote things, make everything feel good around you, create this micro universe? Or do you just want to say something when you get the microphone that make people go like, fuck, dude, really? So I think that people need to pick one lane and then just start building that universe. Okay, maybe I can go to that brand. Hey, I'm doing this. And I think that it's the moment that we are at jiu-jitsu. People need to pick, what do they want? Do they want to be the crazy person with a lot of sponsorship and money? I think that that's why we're seeing all this drama. Or you want to be someone who just trains hard, has a good time. I want to think that there is a lot of these kids these days, like the Tackets are a great
Yeah.
example. Just like good kids have fun. They're always smiling. They are doing their thing, buying crazy fucked up trucks on the road and fixing them. And dude, it's this macro universe that it's entertaining, it's fun. And I think that if we all as a community are honest with each other, we will see that those guys are gonna get far. And we are seeing that those guys that wanted to be the rebel, I say whatever you want, what I want, I say and do whatever I want. These guys are not doing that well anymore. And we see the situation with Gordon, who I don't know, but it's factual what's going on. So I think that people is just starting to realize, dude, if I go crazy, if I want to be this odd character in the world, maybe my days are numbered. And these are other guys are having fun. They are doing that thing. They might not have that much money, but fuck, man, they're gonna get far. I think the more and more people is gonna get into that. I want to have fun. I want to be positive, and I want to be maybe a role model. I think that that's my hope, is that jiu-jitsu is going to get into more into that
Yeah.
direction.
My concern with that is like the way people are addicted to their phones and social media and stuff is that it's just not engaging. You're not going to get any engagement out of that wholesome guy versus like when people take shots at each other. That's more interesting.
Yes, yes, but I think that people need to understand the longevity of it. And I think that it's better to be sustained growth, even if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, even a year on growth, but you're still there, instead of getting to a million people following you and just having all this drama behind you.
Yeah.
I think that you need to pick that lane. For me, I would go into that growth, which is more sustained, even from a personal point of view, or even from a jiu-jitsu point of view, right? Like, oh, I'm not gonna be in 1 year just like competing and winning. No, I prefer to just keep training and just doing my thing little by little, getting more tricks, getting more move, but slowly and surely. And I know that I'm gonna keep doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. I just don't want to win 3, 5 things in 1 year and then retiring and just be um, arguing with people that I don't know online.
Yeah. Well, and
And it's like,
you're making me think back to the Train Angry MMA thing because he's kind of started this brand and he started doing just like updates when events were happening. Oh, here's the winner. Like it started more simple. And then over time, it's gone down this rabbit hole of like, nobody knows who I am. I have this mask
yeah,
over me. And then I'm going to engage in the most volatile stuff I can possibly find
Yep.
and then like push hard into that. But then like that's a perfect example of the longevity because now he's been exposed of who he was. He clearly wasn't trying to do that for some time. And I really don't know what he'll do from there. Because I mean,
that's
if
it.
you have this like faceless brand and then your face is out there now connected to it, like you can't really keep pushing into the faceless thing.
So that's what I
Right.
mean. Like all this growth, all these followers, all this engagement, and now it just burned to the ground.
Yeah. And I'll be interested what he does to try to, you know, cover up that has now been exposed. I don't think you can take that back. I'm sure there's plenty of people that already screenshotted that.
Just be like,
and
that's not me.
Yeah, I do feel like with
AI.
Gordon, he does put out so much stuff as well that you could be like, man, what's this guy's evidence here? you know.
Yeah.
But he already kind of owned up to it that it is him.
Yeah.
So now it's like, are people still going to follow him the same way? I'm not
No,
sure.
I
And
don't
I
think so.
agree with your point that
No.
I've been
I
like,
think people will because people like fucking drama. You know, everybody likes drama.
yeah, I think that's part of the problem.
You know, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
But that's why I like putting everything that we put out. This is my face. This is who I am. You can,
Yeah.
if I say anything you don't like, you can come to me directly,
Mm-hmm.
and then we could like talk about it. I do wish that we could have Train Angry MMA and Gordon Ryan on. I will debate. I will be the mediator for them to debate. If anybody wants to set that up, I will happily.
Let's do it.
I don't think that they would really like. I would love to get two podiums. You know.
Yeah, like presidential
can set
debate.
that
Yeah, presidential debate with Train Angry MMA and Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
Let's set it up. Let's see what they have to say.
We'll set them up here. You'll be here mediating, and I'll be. I don't know. If
We're gonna need like
I'll be playing with a light.
yeah.
Or something.
I was gonna say we're gonna need some serious like safety here because I just can't imagine that conversation being a debate. I'm sure that Gordon would probably want to take the guy's head off. And the funniest thing is this guy saying in the past of like, oh, I might get a match against Gordon.
What the fuck?
And then I'm like, looking at the picture, I think that is highly unlikely. And maybe, again, goes into just the marketing side of things. Like if you say something like that, it makes people like, oh, who is this guy? The mystery. But I really was digging his whole no face. You don't know who this guy is. And then after he started attacking more people personally, I'm like, all right, now this is kind of weird because like if I say some shit about you, I'm putting it out there as me as the person.
And we saw that
Doing
change,
it anonymously.
right?
I don't know.
I think that it was during the weekend when the Atos situation, then he started going for more people. And I was like, man, that's weird. It just felt different. Yeah.
And I feel like it's anybody, there's got to be some amount of time on Instagram that starts becoming extremely dangerous for your mental health.
That's
Right.
what I think that these guys are.
Probably after like a couple hours a day, you start going down into like, this is not good for you. And Gordon too, right? Like he's
100%.
always responding to people's DMs and
100%.
comments, and he posts pretty much every day, it seems. And it's like, dude, that's, I don't know how healthy that is for you, bro.
And where are they getting all that information? Both sides. Like how this Train Angry MMA guy gets all this info. Think about it. Who is he talking to just go so much down the rabbit hole?
I mean, it
Probably
seems
just
like there's
blast DMing like everybody.
Yeah.
Like who yeah, but if you think about it, like these crazy universe that is getting created around this thing, and when I say this thing is all this Austin Jiu-Jitsu drama, it feels that there is so much more people part of it, sending tips, sending info, sending DMs. I think that it's just like this weird toxic situation that we are in. Some good things are getting exposed, some bad people is getting exposed, so some things that happen, great. But I think that we're in a very toxic time in Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I agree with that for
That's my
sure.
take.
Yeah. And even like within the promoters, there seems to be like not a healthy amount of competition between whose event's better. It seems to be very like everyone else's event is shit but mine, you know? And here's what's wrong with everybody else's rules or how they pay or whatever. I do wish that we had something like you were saying for like a true professional league. And then the people in that league kind of have to just focus on being athletes.
I think that it would be good, yeah. And whoever wants to sign up, you know the rules, be part of it, but you know what you need to do. And if you don't want to be part of it, fantastic. Do your own thing, keep your own thing independent, great. But having that option, if people want to really be jiu-jitsu athletes, okay, great. You get a venue. That's the way that you can achieve that, if that's your goal. That's why I think that it's very important. Like, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be A or B, or do you just want to do your thing and just train in the afternoons? Everything is valid, but you can.
Eso we go!
How do you think a like governing body like that would come to fruition? Because I feel like a lot of the major groups right now, like IBJJF, ADCC, would have something to say about that, and they would want to be a part of like the bigger picture if this would be something that's overseeing all of them, right? Something like a National Jiu-Jitsu Association.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I don't think it's realistically possible. I don't think
it's
it'll ever
not.
be a sport
It's not.
anywhere close to basketball and baseball and hockey, those kind of things. It's not even going to be on that level because, like I already mentioned, the UFC side of it, it would be like if the UFC BJJ got 50 times larger, but then didn't have someone like Dana who would be like, oh, I don't care what they say. UFC
Yeah.
BJJ athletes can say whatever they want. It'd have to be something like that, but much bigger. And I just don't think that there's any profit. I don't think
No,
anyone
it
could
should
make
be a
money.
nonprofit. It should be a nonprofit. It should be a nonprofit, and in my opinion, it should have a mix between people coming from jiu-jitsu and people not from jiu-jitsu taking care of it. Because let's be honest, like as many of these niche sports where people get obsessed with training or with doing the ABC, and skateboarding is another great example. Like there is, you need help from a professional level when it comes to handling finances, handling marketing, or anything that has to do with like running a business, whether a profit or non-profit. But I think that if I think about Spain does not have a jiu-jitsu association, uh, or at least until recently. I'm from Spain, so just for these for the 3 million people on the audience, I'm from Spain. Obviously, I'm not an English teacher, but
Shout out to our dozens of subscribers.
shout,
We love
shout
you.
out to all of you.
Tens of people watching this right
Hey,
now.
you know, but everything that had to do with Jiu-Jitsu championships, it had to go through the Wrestling Federation in Spain because the Wrestling Federation was part of it because it was part of the Olympics. So there is a governing body that the Jiu-Jitsu people and some of the guys that I started training with associated themselves to get that structure behind it, right? So you have to be registered, you have to have your ID. I was doing karate, I had my Karate Association ID, you got your booklet with the rules, and I think that that's great. That's what I wanted to be part of. But I think that there are venues in America, and you know, I'm also American, but I think that there is a problem of ego. So I want to control everything. I want to be the boss of ABC. That's why I think that a nonprofit with people from jiu-jitsu and from other sports trying to create a structure behind it, it would be a great way. And obviously, again, money is what creates a lot of problems. So I would make it a nonprofit. So at least there is a portion that goes for salaries, whoever is working, but that's it. Like, let's keep it clean, let's keep it lean, and let's try to organize this in a way that makes sense for the people that want to be part of it.
Do you know if that's how the NBA works? Is the NBA like a nonprofit?
NBA is for profit.
Is for profit?
It is for profit. You got investors, you got a lot of money coming in, you got TV deals, but it's the same thing. Once you have a structure, you can start doing things that are bigger. It's a matter of here in the US with the ADCC, UFC, BJJ, and this and that. I think that it would be more complicated, but yeah, I think that it could be possible. I don't know when, but I think that it could be a great venue, especially for young kids to be part of that, and seeing that there is a path, a healthy path.
Yeah. If anybody
Just
wants
a
to
thought.
sign a petition and nominate me for executive director of National Jiu-Jitsu Association,
Why not?
I'm open.
Why not? Why not?
Just I was looking at like athletes that have lost their biggest sponsorships, and I think this is a good one because it's like kind of in the combat sports space. But in 2016, Manny Pacquiao was referring to gay people in the Philippines as worse than animals, and he lost his deal with Nike, which like I've said this forever. When jiu-jitsu athletes started getting sponsorships and people would get excited, I was always like, man, like Nike making gis and sponsoring an athlete would be a sign that the sport has like really grown. And like Nike's just, that's got to be the best sponsorship. I'm sure they've probably paid more people more than any other brand, especially for athletes. But yeah, he lost that contract. So I'm sure like that was probably tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah,
And it was because he's
probably.
saying something that Nike doesn't, want their ambassador to be speaking on, which
Does he
I
still
think,
not have a Nike sponsorship?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah.
Pacquiao? No.
But I think it's just like one of those things on jiu-jitsu. I don't think that Nike will ever look at the jiu-jitsu market as big enough for them to even go into, So I do think that we'll be
Okay.
constrained on the point in which a governing body can tell athletes what to do because we're never going to hit the viewpoint that it's profitable for these big companies.
Yes and no. So here's the thing. 2005, I got the MMA kit from Kaol Uno from Nike because I used to work at Nike. I got the kit that was only made for the Japanese market for this fighter, Kaol Uno, who just got his black belt. He was doing MMA for a long time. He was sponsored by Nike for the Japanese market, and they were doing clothes for him. I still wear it to this day. It's the white, the black long sleeve that I have. Great stuff. But it was only in a very small market because that's when the whole Pride thing was going on. So
Yeah.
they were sponsoring people, and for a little moment they sponsored Anderson Silva, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago when he was still fighting. He was a sponsor by Nike, and maybe no, John Jones. John Jones was on Nike, and he got dropped fairly quickly, right? For the 3 million viewers, if you guys can fact check this, I know one of them was sponsored by Nike, and he got dropped fairly
Yeah, in
after.
2014
Okay.
with
I mean-
with a brawl with Cormier at a media event.
Those are still like UFC like big athletes, not like a jiu-jitsu competitor.
Right, but now I'm questioning if there's any jiu-jitsu athletes that even have good enough behavior that they could stick with Nike. Right? Like the Tackets are the example.
I think so.
But then on the
yeah.
other side for Nike is, do they bring in enough views
Right.
to make it worth it for
And
them?
there are levels of sponsorship. I have sponsored people in the past where you could be the top athlete and you can get paid, or you can go into, okay, I'm not paying you money, but I'm going to support you for travel, let's say, or you get free product. So there are these levels.
Right.
So I think that there is an opportunity, but again, I don't think that all this drama going on these days for big corporations, if they look from outside and they go like, what in the actual fuck is going on in jiu-jitsu? I don't want to be part of all this.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not going to get part of it.
that's what I think about with Craig all the time. I don't know if there's other jiu-jitsu creators that get the views that Craig gets. I imagine he's probably one of the top ones. But then if I'm a big company and I look at Craig
no.
Jones, I'm like, cool, he's getting the views, but what's he posting? And it's like him with a thong on. And it's like,
But probably that's
right.
not what he wants. If you think about it, it's like, I'm going to do this, but I don't want the sponsorship of ABC.
for sure. For sure. That's his
I want to
choice
keep
and his
having
brand.
fun,
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
with my friends, the Street X guys. I know Daniel, very smart guy, but he's just working with his friends and making it work and doing CJI, whatever. Great. I wonder in the future, is someone going to show up and be so attractive to big companies so real money starts coming into Jiu-Jitsu? I don't know.
Yeah. It'd have to be like another Gordon skill wise, someone that could actually be
Probably.
undisputed, reigning champ across all sorts of different organizations, and no one even stands a chance. But then, yeah,
Put me in.
maybe not with all the rest of it. All right, so I want to get to know you a little bit better because you've dropped a few things with the skateboarding and the Spain. Did you start skateboarding in Spain?
Yeah. I started skateboarding in 1989 after watching Gleam in the Cube. Gleam in the Cube is a great movie with that guy. I don't know his name. Anyways, for the 3 million people in the audience, please, Gleam in the Cube is a great movie from the 80s. Yeah, I'm from Spain, from Barcelona, and I started skateboarding in 1989, and I've kept doing it until 2006, 2007, maybe.
When did you get to the U.S.?
15 years ago. And when I was 30 something. Yeah, 30 something? Yeah, 33. Yeah. Just moved to New York and I never went back.
What was the skate scene like, and where were you at in Spain at the time?
Oh, man. Barcelona was the center of skateboarding worldwide. So I think that from the early 2000s till 2010, 2015, you had people from all over the world just flocking to Barcelona just to skate the city. And it's not just skateboarding, it's also the lifestyle. So you get Americans that are used to just driving for hours just to get to one skate spot. And then they were going to Barcelona and they were just skating through the city for the whole day, just enjoying life and having lunch for $5 and getting a beer and then meeting the girls afterwards at the bar. So it was more than just skateboarding, but it was the mecca for skateboarding. So you had everybody from all over the world just going to Barcelona to skate.
Man, that's so interesting that Barcelona was like a hub for it. Was it just because of like the old city and the layout of it? What makes
Yeah.
Barcelona good for skateboarding?
So we had the Olympics in 1992, and what that did is that the government created new neighborhoods that were very modern. And by modern, I mean that you could have like skatable plazas all over the city and all these like perfect ground to just skateboarding around. So it was a mix of like, okay, old city, Olympics, investment, and then a little bit of what I was talking about before in regards of how popular skateboarding got when the Tony Hawk video game came out. Because it was all these teenagers playing, and then it got to a point a few years later, well, I can buy a skateboard, and oh, I'm gonna just skate down the street, and I'm just gonna meet the crew and make friends and enjoy and learn something new. And it's a lifestyle. Like you're pretty much in the street. I was in the street the whole day. Um, but then it just kept growing, and then everybody kept coming up. And
The new developments that they made after the Olympics.
for the Olympics,
Oh, for the Olympics.
for the Olympics, yeah.
But it was for the Olympics, but they didn't make them with skaters in mind, did they?
No,
Okay.
there is a theory that we like. I remember just when the Olympics happened, people were actually looking at the plazas and being like, "These are too perfect. There are ramps. What architect did this? Because this looks made for skateboarding." And a lot of people that was coming to the city, they were like, "Bro, this is a skate park. Do you guys see that thing connected to that?" So there is a
That's
theory
cool.
that maybe someone in the architect
yeah.
committee or whatever it is was a skateboarder. I don't know.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
it was during the Olympics, for the Olympics. Entire neighborhoods created from zero. It was wild.
And then from there, did you get into like the business side of skateboarding?
Yeah, I always wanted to know how things worked. So when I was 13, I had one magazine from America, and I tried to translate the whole magazine with a little dictionary. So I was going word by word trying to understand, because getting a magazine back then, it was fucking crazy. So I studied that magazine religiously, and all the photos. I remember looking at the photos and I'm like, how do they do this? This is so good, and it's the fisheye and the lens and the lighting and everything. So I started trying to first understand what those skateboarders from far away in the world were saying and talking about, but also trying to understand how those photos were made. That's what actually made me fall into this rabbit hole of I want to learn to shoot photos to just make it as good as this, and I also want to be part
Sick.
of this industry or lifestyle or sport, and trying to get better. So I started shooting photos. Next thing you know, I'm shooting photos for a bunch of magazines. I started writing and shooting photos, interviews for a Spanish magazine, one of the first Spanish magazines. And then next thing you know, 2004, somebody approached me and they were like, "Yo, so there is these Nike people and they want to do skateboarding. Do you want to be part of this?" Long story short, but that's pretty much what happened. And I was like, "Nike? Yeah, I would love to just talk with them." And I met with this one guy at the office, at the Nike office, and he was like, "So, yeah, we're looking for someone like you. We're going to give you some shoes. Here are all these shoes. Make sure that these shoes get used for skateboarding, and just try to get footage and just try to get people to show up with these shoes skating." So for the next 3 months, and they were like, "And we're gonna pay you a salary just to do that." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm down." So for 3 months, I was pretty much traveling the country, Spain, because I was already shooting photos, and I was giving away these shoes to people that I wanted to take photos. So it's like, "All right, hold on, let's shoot this photo with these shoes. You can keep them, but let's shoot this." The kids were stoked because it was an era that it was not corporate. And dude, I got so many good photos, and they got published in the magazine that myself was working at. So I go back to Nike 3 months later, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got some stuff," and I gave them a cover of a magazine. I started flipping the page. "Oh yeah, also here, also here, also here." And I remember the guy like, "What the fuck?" He was a tennis player. He was working at Nike. And that got me a job at Nike for 7 years as
Oh, damn.
as the marketing guy for skateboarding and action sports. So all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm in the street just doing my thing, and now all of a sudden, I'm at the corporate office, like, oh hi. It was interesting.
Would you consider skateboarding like a counterculture?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Skateboarding is the OG punk attitude of my time. That's the way that I see it. Because skateboarding had so many. You're skating in the city, you're being noisy, you are breaking things, but you're doing it as a way of self-expression. You know what I mean? So to me, it was very rebellious, and I think that it helped me also be very resourceful. Like, oh, something is not working out, I'm gonna figure it out. And that mindset is what got me into jiu-jitsu. That's what got me into, I think, a lot of things in life. But yeah, to me, it's the number one counterculture. And then you got the music and the art around it, and that's why you have so many artists related to skateboarding.
Yeah, I grew up with my older brothers being into like skateboarding and inline skating. When you talk about like the creativity,
Yeah.
they were already pretty handy with like making ramps and stuff, but the effort that they put in, like
Yeah.
we basically had a whole skate park on our driveway, and they had
That's
probably
great.
a box and
Yeah.
two small ramps and
Yeah.
a bigger ramp, and we'd get it all set up on the driveway. And the amount of effort and critical thinking they would put in just to create like a skate spot
Yeah.
or to go to an existing spot and kind of, oh, we put
That's
this
it.
piece of
Yeah.
plywood here with the cinder block underneath. Now we got a ramp, and
Yeah.
now we can hit this rail. And yeah, it's very cool to see, especially in that time. I mean, like I said, they were on the front driveway with the neighbors just trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
they like learned how to build things just because they were trying to skate better, you know?
So now imagine in a big city, you don't have money and you need to go to that small town because there is a skate championship that you want to go with your friends. Everybody got so resourceful. Okay, I'm gonna buy this cheap and then sell it expensive to those other guys, and I'm gonna have enough money. It was a whole ecosystem for us in the city. So yes, what you're saying, 100%. What I saw is that so many entrepreneurs came out of skateboarding and they were teenagers, that it's this being resourceful mindset that to me it's great. I think the people that were part of that moment in time, they are very resourceful these days, which
When
is exciting.
when you found yourself one day at in like the nice fancy corporate office in Nike, did you feel a way about no longer being free and no longer being poor?
No, I I felt like very lonely.
Yeah.
I felt very, very lonely. I was getting treated like the outsider for many, many years. And it's something that I had to struggle. I had a little bit of a struggle with, but at the same time, I was like, well, maybe I don't want to be accepted. Maybe I want to stay this way. But it made things a little bit harder. And back then, I was a little bit of a shithead. So it just, I was like, oh, fuck this. Like, oh, you guys think that I'm this? Okay, fuck this. So it was not the healthiest mindset, but I always felt like a little bit like a rebel.
Do you think that's because at Nike they have like, I imagine this is just the skateboarding division, but then you got like football or something
But
like
that's the
that?
thing. All the skateboarding people, we spoke the same language, right?
Right.
Even with the US guys or with the European guys. We were four people in Europe. So we was such a small team. And they wanted the skateboarding to be absolutely different from soccer, running. But at the same time, you're working at an office that has all these people. Next thing you know, you see an NBA player, like you're part of that corporate environment, you want it or not. And that also applies to rules and things. So I was always a little bit of the rebel there. Um, but I think that was the plan. That's why they hired me. They didn't hire a guy with an MBA. They hired this guy. Yeah, the first year I sold $1 million by myself. And they were like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah, okay. I just work with my friends." So,
I imagine like you had a ton of friends in that community.
exactly.
Did they ever like feel a way about you?
Yeah, some people.
Kind of like a sellout,
Yeah, some people
in a
did.
sense.
Yeah, and you could feel it.
But at the same time, you could also position it as like yo, I'm ambassador for the community, helping build it up.
That's what I tried
bring
to
in more
do.
resources,
Yes.
you know, things like that. Right?
That's exactly it. I really wanted to use the budget that I had to help other people and to make things happen for other people, or maybe magazines, like being able to call a magazine like that's run by some guy in his basement and be like, bro, I got you. I'm gonna put an ad for 6 months. So 6 issues, you got this much money, like I want to support you. Let's just work together. That's something that really made me very whole, not for myself, just to be able to, okay, yeah, I'm going to give back because it's important. So yeah, I tried to use those resources for it, and I did for a long time, long time. I want to think that I tried to do something positive, even though I was just like on this like rebel fighting corporate war, but I was still making shit happen. So yeah.
When you were working at Nike, being a part of like a whole corporate system, were there situations in which like your creativity and artistic expression got kind of diluted because of, you know, you had to answer to whatever they wanted, or because they wanted you as a little shithead in Spain
Yeah.
selling, you know, selling shoes and selling shit?
Yeah.
Did they give you kind of that artistic freedom?
Um, so there is a couple of stories here. I'll be very brief. So the thing is that the whole skateboarding team was supported by the number two at Nike worldwide. Number two guy. We were close. Like we were able to talk, and he believed that the rebel spirit of skateboarding could really impact Nike's ability to connect with a broader consumer and bring something cool. Obviously, make a ton of money with it, but there is something cool to be made here. That guy was called Sandy Bodeker. For the 3 million people watching, Google that guy, genius. But I was with him in Barcelona, just walking around, and the guy's like, "Ivan, dude, like, why don't you make some shoes, like some crazy Spanish shoes, just whatever you want, just something that it's Spanish." And I didn't flinch. I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll work on it. Yeah, I'll just. Why don't I could make the Don Quixote book, which is one of the oldest novels in Spain, and there was this anniversary going on, and he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, just do whatever you want, just get it done." Next week, one of the designers contacts me. Hey, Ivan, let's work on this. So I started working on the concept. I designed the whole thing. I didn't tell anybody in the office. The guys in Spain didn't even know. Next thing you know, I get a sample of a shoe that I came up with this concept of a Spain, da da da. And I'm talking with the US guys, and I was like, okay, yeah, we need to change this, da da da. And I remember showing up at the office to the people that I work with, like, oh yeah, I just did this. And they didn't compute. Like a Spanish guy does not make shoes for Nike. So they were a little bit like, hey, you what? So on that end, creativity was push, but it was creativity, and that push that was coming from the US. I think that it was a little bit, especially in Spain, they didn't understand anything. I was like, what's going on? Why is this guy talking with the fucking number two at Nike and getting shit done? It felt very alien to them, and I don't blame them. It's corporate people trying to run a business and taking care of this, that, and there is this crazy person in a corner just making shoot. Like, what the fuck is going on? So on that end, I would say that creativity was really pushed. But when it come into the country itself, when you had to deal with certain things, like I had the marketing director for the country coming to me in an open space yelling, why did you guys go to Japan and spend money on travel when we told everybody that you cannot spend money? And I told him, I was like, I had to make it happen because we had this article for a skate magazine and we had to do it. The guy was like, why am I fighting this guy? Years later, the guy told me, I remember when you confronted me and I felt that was really good. I respect you. So I think that it was a little bit of that yin and yang. I think that back then for me, I didn't really understand that or value it enough. So to me, it was very normal. Like, oh, I have to fight the marketing director of Spain because that's what I have to do. But yeah, it was creativity on one side and a little bit like, yo, chill out for a second, you know,
sure.
try to be a little bit more like the running guy or the soccer guy. And I didn't want to do that.
I don't want to be
That's
the
why I
fucking
was a
tennis
little
guy.
bit like, yeah,
And
it
try and be
was,
like the pickleball guy over here.
well, yeah, that dude, yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2011, I left. I was burnt out, and that's when I ended up in New York.
When sorry, did you when you jumped in when you first jumped into Nike, your background and wheelhouse was photography. Is that correct? Over those 7 years, did you have any like desires or opportunities to skill up in other areas, like maybe
Marketing.
photography to video? Okay, okay, so all like marketing, so like
I did
writing
marketing.
copy, advertisements.
Yeah, I also did photography for a Nike ad. I shot it myself. I also got into more video. I
Hmm.
hired one of my friends with a salary to be like, okay, bro, like stop the hustle, like just work for me, and we're gonna just build content for Nike. That's before the internet, but for videos, let's put out a video every 6 months, so we can get the community engaged. People getting to see that you get promoted in the sense of like you can do whatever you want, like which is video. You don't have to be working at a supermarket, but at the same time, we can build a community and build what these products are for, which is skateboarding, and it's just creating a little bit of that micro universe. So I went into documentaries. We did a documentary
Sick.
to go into Qatar. We pretty much decided that we were gonna go on a skate tour. A skate tour is you get your skate team and you go somewhere in the world, capture it, skateboarding around, and then whether do photography or do video. And we did the video in the craziest place, which is Qatar, 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, 15 years ago. The place we were like, yeah, we're going to Qatar to skate. People was like, what the fuck? I was like, we're gonna make a documentary. It's gonna be great. So we came out with a documentary of skating in the fucking middle of nowhere with fucking camels, people like praying in the street. But the documentary is fucking dope. So
Hell yeah.
I was trying to expand not only my creativity, I was using corporate resources to create something bigger and more exciting in the industry, which was a skateboarding that at the time was a little stale. So yeah, I tried to do more photography, more video, bring people in, help people in, and just to tell more stories.
And primarily for the majority of it, you're operating as like kind of creative direction, right?
Marketing direction,
Okay, cool.
which encompasses also that. But yeah, it was more just like leading the whole marketing, and that includes creative, PR, retail. How do you create a store inside of a store to promote this one collection? So I did all that stuff. It was a really good time.
Why Qatar?
I don't know. I think that
Why not Qatar?
I told the guy, let's go to the craziest place that we can find that we don't get killed. Let's go somewhere that we're not gonna get shot, but that we can just create something that is fucking crazy. And we met with the guy there and we interviewed the guy, and the guy from Qatar was like, yeah, when you guys sent me a text saying you were looking for a guy in Qatar, I wondered why. And that was the whole story. Like, how do you make something work when all the odds are against you? Because it's not the best spot to skate, but the story itself, it led to that. Let's make it work. And that's a documentary. You can find it. It's called This is Qatar. I think that it's on Vimeo or maybe YouTube. So
Sick.
yeah,
How long?
that's
Do you remember how long? Like,
it's around 15 minutes,
sick.
but the cinematography is really good.
I'm gonna check it
And it
out
was
for
all
sure.
us just in a five-star hotel, five-star hotel.
How many people?
Just some, we were like 6 or 7 guys
Fucking dope.
in the middle of nowhere. It was fucking wild. It was a great trip. But yeah, that's the stuff that I tried to do.
So jiu-jitsu tour?
I know, dude. Every time someone describes that, whether it could be skateboarding, food tours, jiu-jitsu tours, that is like the coolest kind of content to me.
Yeah.
And I hope that there's a day that we can do a jiu-jitsu tour, because I think
Yeah.
doing that same thing. I mean, the cool thing with jiu-jitsu now is I think a cool approach would be like getting maybe people to put in their own answers, but like what is the most obscure jiu-jitsu gym location in the world?
Yeah.
And do like a series of like the smallest gyms that are in like some mountain town somewhere, and just go to obscure jiu-jitsu gyms, island jiu-jitsu.
Obscure jiu-jitsu gyms. Drop them.
Yeah, let us know. I'd love to go check out
Yeah.
like small town America. I mean, I think jiu-jitsu is pretty global at this point, so you could probably find a gym on at least most continents. Probably not Antarctica.
Why not?
Yeah, there's probably somebody that's like been a jujitsu guy that's found themselves down there and it's like, come on, bro, come
Yeah.
into the break room with me. Let's go over some snap down.
Yeah, there's like
Yep.
some like a researchers down there that like used to train or something.
They're like
you
watching
know?
Danaher
They'll
videos on their
they'll
laptop.
pull out some mats.
You mentioned the like rebel spirit of skateboarding when you started in Barcelona and then eventually you kind of got into like the global skateboarding community. Was skateboarding culture similar all across like
Yeah.
the US and in Europe?
Yeah, I think that skateboarding is pretty universal, especially back then. Now I think that it's a little bit more polished because of social media. But yeah, it was skateboarding is one of those things where if you were traveling around and you didn't have a place to stay, you could always like meet up a skater or like, oh, you're wearing this one t-shirt, you're part of my crew. And that is something that has always been the case, at least for me. And it's always been a very welcoming community across the world. So yeah, I want to think that yeah, it's been very pretty much the same across the globe.
Do you have like a golden era for skateboarding for yourself?
For me, I think that it was the between 1995 and the year 2000. Those for me were the best times. We Barcelona, we there were two factions in Barcelona. There was the ones in downtown that were a little bit more the civilized guys, and then you had the more hip hop driven crew, which was my crew in Sans. It was like this plaza, and we were just always in trouble, dude. Like there was people coming to the plaza to fight us. There was always fights. There was people still. It was some wild times. Also very creative times where people really realize a lot of shit. Like passions like photography, video. That was something that was brewing in skateboarding because everybody wanted to capture their own thing and trying to come up with ways of getting like really good cameras when kids don't really have a job to buy a $2,000 camera, but people was really making it work, selling things, doing this, doing that, little job here. Even myself, like to buy my first camera to shoot photos, I just work during nights unloading trucks. So we were always coming up with things. So I think that those 5 years defined the city in a really creative way. And for my crew, I really saw, now I see that, how much people were able to create something from nothing. And I think that that's fucking beautiful because that's hard these days. People want to get everything delivered to the plate, like being able to build it yourself. And I feel that those 5 years were that.
And then when do you think was like the peak in popularity as far as like the Tony Hawk video games coming out? When do you think there was like the most kids skating worldwide?
That time.
Really?
time, yeah.
Even that far back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because think about that. In my opinion, it was four things that really helped to push that. It was the video game. So you're breaking the entry barrier is gone. You're playing in your, what's the step from playing in your bedroom to being in the skate park? It's very small now. If the game would not be there, kids would not want to go to the park. So that's the first thing. Second one is the Vans Warp Tour. So you had all these bands touring the US and Europe, creating that atmosphere of skate is cool and BMX and all these action sports. So you had that. You had all these TV channels promoting that as the cool thing, MTV. I don't know if BH1 of all these, but MTV was just interviewing the bands, being at Warp Tour and just showcasing skateboarding in a different way. And then you had the whole thing with Bam Margera and Jackass. Skaters equal rebels equal fun. Oh my god, that's like the perfect universe. You got the video game for the young kids, you got the music concept which actually gets people excited, right? Oh, I love this song, yeah, it's from so and so. Then you got the TV, and then you got MTV with these shows just bringing this idea that skateboarding and people associated with the skateboarding, they are crazy and edgy, I want to be part of it. So I think that was the time where most people not only got exposed to it, but wanted to be part of it. It's different skateboarding than wanting to be part of it. And I think that that's the key, and that's why so many people wanted to be part through the music or maybe through the video game, but they wanted to be part of that ecosystem. And then the core skaters were there. They might not be growing a lot, but everything around it grew so much, and that was, yeah, I think that it was early 2000s, the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw the connections. Like bringing up the music is such a good point because I was like a pretty young kid through all this time, and I remember being around skaters and listening to what they would play while
Exactly.
skating.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand like what is that common connection? What about skateboarding makes it like a rebellious kind of activity? And then what's the connection to that counterculture music as well?
I think that it's the punk idea of fuck everything, fuck everyone, right? If you think about punk, it started in the UK, but when it gets taken more into the US, it was a little bit more of a rebellious spirit. And then you have all these other factions. My background is also in hardcore music, but it was not in punk. It was more on the hardcore scene because it was more connected to my idea of okay, I want to be against the grain. The whole thing with minor threat, the whole thing, it's that same concept that was so linked with the skateboarding and the idea of just like, it's just me, my board against the wall. That's what I think that was connected to the music because all these bands, it's a little bit of that attitude, right? Us against the wall. So I think that that's what I would say that it could create that connection.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like this connection has gone away from jiu-jitsu, but that was kind of how I felt jiu-jitsu was at the start.
It was, yes, I agree.
So why was jiu-jitsu associated with this kind of counterculture, rebel culture, and then at what point did we start getting away from that?
That's a good question. I want to think that there is still a lot of people that don't give a fuck about trends. They just want to keep their thing going. I want to think that I'm the one of those guys. I don't want to get associated with the latest trend, and I want to keep that mindset going. Like the sticker that I got in my car is
No one cries on the Mets.
keep jiu-jitsu weird.
Yeah.
Keep jiu-jitsu weird. And yeah, that's another sticker. But that's a little bit of that. I think that America is very interesting when it comes to martial arts. And I think about it from the lens of karate, because I studied karate. Karate in Japan and in Europe is very traditional. And you have one head that started the thing, the lineage, and that lineage is not just about the face, it's about the system, which is the different part. And that thing stays true to this day in Europe and Japan. But when it got to the US, especially in the 70s, Americans started taking one thing, changing a few things, and creating their own thing, their own style. Kempo Karate. Kempo Karate is the Okinawan karate, but all of a sudden it has a different name and it has a different head. So they started creating, I think, their own little things, diffusing a little bit from the traditional point of view. What I'm trying to say with this is that I think that trying to reshape something that exists and be like, no, maybe this not, is what can dilute a little bit of the mindset. But I think that at the end of the day is everybody and anybody that is part of the industry. What do you want it to get from it? And what do you want to do with life? For me, I need to stay a rebel and just keep doing my thing. That's my main thing.
Yeah, and I see a big parallel between like a 1990s Barcelona skateboarder lifestyle and a jiu-jitsu lifestyle. I mean,
Yes.
maybe like you mentioned the beer, maybe a little less of that with the modern jiu-jitsu people. But especially when I was starting jiu-jitsu, I was still skating at the time. I didn't really skateboard. I did
Same.
longboarding,
Same.
but I was in like the longboarding kind of subculture and doing jiu-jitsu. And it was like, we're here in Texas, so there's no waves to surf. But it's like you go
Yeah.
ride the longboard and then you go to jiu-jitsu class. And I feel like there is definitely a similarity between
is.
those two. And like, I guess the same kind of thing on just being a rebel. When I was in high school, I just wanted to do jiu-jitsu. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to do like any kind of traditional path. And so I definitely felt like in jiu-jitsu was the place for me, having that kind of an attitude. And what I'm specifically thinking about is like when I was coming up in jiu-jitsu, this would have been like early 2010s, and the jiu-jitsu fashion kind of hit, right? We had like this golden era in Brazil from like the 90s, and then kind of a quick 10 years where it hit the US and the American jiu-jitsu culture hadn't really settled in yet.
Yep.
And then we started to have like what I think of as like the era of cool gis coming out. So I imagine like something about the jiu-jitsu fashion,
Yeah.
and then how it kind of exploded there for a little while. And then now I feel like maybe because of people's shift out of the gi is part of that, but I'm not sure what other factors would play into it.
My first class of jiu-jitsu and my first gi are from 2004. So there were only two brands coming from Brazil. One was Krugens, and the other one was Vitamins and Minerals. Vitamins and Minerals. And my gi is Vitamins and Minerals. And we had one gi. I only had one gi. You could not get jiu-jitsu gi. So that's the golden era. Some people were just like shipping the stuff from Brazil, and then 2010 you got all that. I think that everything was a little bit smaller. People were not so focused on making big money. They just wanted to make good products and really enjoy those products. And like that gi that I have, there is a reason why I can still wear it to this day, because it's made really well.
That same gi, your first gi?
Yeah, I got my
Sick.
jacket. It's like it has all these patches. Like there is that guy in the bag that it's like this, all embroidered. Then the fabric is insane. It's 21 years of a gi. Like try to roll with a gi from 20 years from now. It might not last that long, from gis to these days. So yeah, I don't know. I really think that money is what has created a lot of problems in jiu-jitsu, because it exploded really fast. People started seeing, oh my God, like maybe we can get a quick buck here, there with gear or with this or with that. And I think that that's what has tainted a little bit of the rebel spirit. But I personally still see it. There are some brands that I can see that they are still doing exactly what they want and the way that they want it, which is great. But I also see some other people, and I don't want to bring names, but I'm like, damn, are they chasing trends, or they are really doing what they want? And I think that you can see that.
Go ahead.
Before you had said that skater culture was small and tight in a way that you could go to like any country, any city. You see somebody wearing, a brand of shirt and be like, "Oh, you're a part of our crew." You stay on my couch, stay in my place, whatever. Do you think that's the case, or ever was the case with jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, is it still?
I think that there was a peak of that time too.
Yeah, I don't know now, but
yeah, I think 10 years ago, if
Yeah.
I'm at an airport and I see a guy in a show your old t-shirt,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, bro, we're instant best friends.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if I just see a jiu-jitsu t-shirt, maybe we're a little bit on the same team, but not like
yet.
not like
That's
it
not
used
enough.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even when I was starting school in 2015, there would be times I'd wear a jiu-jitsu thing on campus and someone would catch me and we would talk, and it'd be like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I found another jiu-jitsu guy at the university. This is so exciting. But now I'm sure if I went back to the University of Houston, I'd probably see a ton of jiu-jitsu shirts. And I think the thing that we both remember is just that peak time of a lot of collabs happening between like, Albino Prado or Show Your Roll, Hyperfly, these kinds of things where they would like do different types of products and like attach themselves to an existing brand, right? Like you're into like a Pokemon type gi, right?
Damn, bro, I feel like shit.
But that's the kind of thing where if you saw
yes,
gi,
I would fuck with a Snorlax.
yeah, you'd be
gi.
like, fuck
Okay.
yeah, Snorlax gi, that's dope to me. And so the same kind of thing, different animes and
Jesus.
just different
Fucking
subcultures in general.
attacked. God.
But that was where I loved that kind of stuff, that era of jiu-jitsu gis being a lot, maybe flashy is kind of like not my personal style, but like you said, like gis that might look more like a punk rock jacket, that kind of thing. But
You've seen
that
my
wasn't
gi.
the only style. Yeah, you
I have a bunch of these gis, and I've been Preto, I know Warby. I've been with him for 10 years now, and when he started, and we connected and we became friends. We trained together. and I don't want to make this a commercial, but I know that everything that he puts out is because he really loves it. And I think that that's why I like that concept of building a brand. Anything that you want, that you are putting out, is associated with your name. There are other brands that don't do that or that cannot do that. What if I do a so and so collabo? Like people that know you, they might call you out. Like, bro, what the fuck is this? You're not into that. You're doing it because there is a trend. And I think that people is starting to catch that. And that's why that same mindset of being rebel small, you can still see it in some pockets. And you always call that level black. I don't know the level black guy, but I think that what he puts out, I'm sure that the guy is exactly like the what he's putting it out there. Because it looks legit, it looks real, it looks authentic.
Yeah, and he's been very good on like consistency with the brand, right? Like his whole thing on branding seems to just be like the athletes he chooses.
But
They're always
right.
like the craziest dynamic athletes that go for submissions.
Yes.
Not a lot of stallers or anything like that.
And you see that there is a path. So I'm just saying that the brands that keep that path is what I see, that they have the longevity that we were talking about before. Those that are straight, that stay true and don't go too crazy on certain things. But yeah. Anyways, yes.
Yeah, and I feel like you mentioned Street X earlier, and I don't know anything about like Australian fashion and the culture behind what their designs and that kind of stuff. Because to me, it looks like some kind of version of NASCAR type themes.
It's out there, yeah.
But like, what are they doing right?
Danny, so I had the headwear. I'm gonna go back into the story. I had the headwear brand when I moved to New York, and I was studying. I joined a school. That was my excuse to leave Spain. I'm gonna join a school. I'm gonna study, but at the same time, I have this side business that I make hats, and it got very popular. It was very very small, but there was this guy from Australia for some reason that wanted to stock the hats in his store. The store was called Street X. So I started talking with this kid. He was doing MMA, this and that. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, we can do it. And we stayed in touch for a long time. And I was seeing that he was growing his own brand based in Australia. And I was like, that's wild. In fucking Australia. I didn't even know that Australia, first, that they had that much money, because a lot of people was ordering from me from America. I was like, okay. But other than that, the whole industry and streetwear fans in Australia, it looked like it was huge. So he was catering to that, and he started creating that. I really like what he's doing because he's honest to himself. That's my opinion. I've seen him grow that brand. He always has stayed like that. That was his lane. Loud, fun, borderline, chaotic, but smart at the same time from a business perspective. And I think that what he's doing is right, is that if you look back 10 years from now, you will see that it's the same guy with the same mindset, with the same attitude. So I think that these days people appreciate that and consumers see that, because you got so many options to spend your money on something. You want to go with something that feels authentic. That's at least what I try to do. So I think that what he's doing right is the fact that he's authentic and that he partners with people that is connected to his universe. It's all about creating a universe in your brand. He created his universe so well defined that you get all these people that are on field apart that gravitate towards it. And same thing as a consumer. I want to be part of this crazy crew, and it's fun, and they have like all these crazy drops, and they do a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and they do streetwear. Fuck, it's like Supreme if it would be fun. I think that's what he did really well. Instead of like, I'm Supreme in the US, I'm very serious, I'm too cool for you. Yeah, come later. This guy took the approach and he made it fun.
Yeah.
And he's fucking killing it.
When he is able to get this energy of like what I remember from like the 2000s, where when he does like his truck doing drops, and he'll have like these random, we're going to be at this location, and people will show up.
Yeah.
I feel like in 2026, it's so hard to get people to show up.
Yep.
And this dude can get people out of their houses, drive their car, get an Uber, whatever. And you see mobs of people showing up to some kind of like, I guess I don't even know if they're charging or if they are
Oh, he's
charging, but
giving
he's
them away.
just throwing it out
Yeah.
there.
And cops
And
show up and he has this PR moment
yeah,
and it's in the news. But I really think that if any brand, if tomorrow we get together and we're like, we're gonna start a jiu-jitsu brand and we're gonna make it fun. So tomorrow we're gonna give giving away 1,000 t-shirts and we're gonna be posting in South Lamar and we're gonna give it away, nobody will show up. But if we have been doing a smaller thing for 10 years, 5 years, and people follow us because we are this funny crew of friends that always stayed in the same lane, fuck, dude, we say that we're going to be in South Lamar giving away lollipops, we're going to get 1,000 people showing up because they want to be part of that energy. That's why the power of not only marketing, but branding is so important. Like, you need to be honest because if not, it all implodes and then we see what we were talking about before, people just wanting to attack you and talk shit and destroy everything that you have built through the years. If you stay authentic, that's it.
And that's the thing, right? The authenticity is key. It's not necessarily, it's like, oh, we're crazy, slightly chaotic, loud, you know,
You need
crazy
to be
things like that.
authentic.
It doesn't matter what the specific like thing or angle is, as long as whatever it is true to you
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that that's something that brands are starting to realize. That I think that that's why this personal brand situation is happening now that Instagram is so popular. Like, people have realized that they get attracted to authenticity, and it's easy to be authentic. You just need to know that you're gonna get some pushback from people that don't like you, but if you stay true, you can build that longevity that we were talking also about before. Like, longevity doesn't happen overnight. You need to keep doing it. You need to keep showing up. And I think that you not only need to be authentic to others, but you need to be authentic to yourself first, right? Like, what do you want to do? Are you willing to commit? Are you willing to put in the hours? And are you going to risk whatever it is just to achieve that longevity, the dream that you have? And the answer is yes. I think that you just keep moving and building.
What do you we're talking a lot about authenticity over time, over a large period of time, right? How do you feel about individuals like growing and evolving? You know, like that's a part of what happens. People's taste changes over time and evolves and stuff. And something like artists, like music,
Yeah.
right? Like you look at any art, or not any, but several artists, right? The album that they dropped yesterday can be much, much, much different than the album they dropped 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. You're saying the same thing that I said. I think that they were authentic to themselves 10 years ago, and evolution is not the same as not being honest to yourself. I look at Post Malone style. If you look at Post Malone right now on photos, you'll be like, oh, he's a guy from Texas. You're like, really? Let's go back 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. But I really think that that's just an evolution. Like,
Right.
it didn't go overnight, right? You saw him, he lost weight, he started changing the way he was dressing up. I think that authenticity doesn't mean how do you look. It's more, okay, well, there is a, like a passage. There is a road that he took or she took, and it got him there. But it's the same person. And we see this with Kanye West.
Yeah.
It's the biggest example that, in my opinion, we have in this day and age. Like, we got someone who's been honest to himself and with a little bit of ups and downs, right, on the psychosis, but he's always been very honest to himself and said exactly everything that he felt. He didn't ask for permission. He faced all the consequences in the world for certain things that he said or done. But if you look at authenticity, I look at him and I'm like, fuck, dude, like, I'm not going to be like you, but you really are authentic.
But good on you.
Whether I like
Yeah.
it or not,
Right.
but fuck. And that's rare.
I was gonna say Kanye
That's
too.
very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest challenge that I'm thinking about with all of this is like, how do you even know what you want to stand up for?
Yeah,
You know?
that's fair. I don't know. Some people get the calling, right? Some people get the calling and be like, well, I need to be a supporter of these, or I really want to, I don't know, inspire kids to be better, or something happens in life and you go like, well, I like for me, I there is a portion of what I try to do, which is help people that are in a school, just to um, giving them a little bit more of an overview on their creative and marketing ideas. Like I'm talking with this girl and helping them on how can she go from a nutritionist to someone creative, and she felt so lost, so someone contacted me, hey, can you help this friend, maybe just talk with her on what can she do just to achieve that. And I think that talking with someone really helps. So if you go, "Hey, I really want to be a YouTube superstar, how could I do that?" And just trying to get like some sort of mentorship point of view, or people that you know that did what you want to achieve, and then you talk with them for advice. I think that that's important. That's also rare, in my opinion. You cannot find certain people, or people is not available to talk with you about certain things. But I think that it's all about just let's figure it out, and I'm gonna find a way to figure it out and talk with people and try to see if I can achieve that, right? But the authenticity needs to still, like, you need to tell to yourself, I'm gonna do this, but been doing it in my own terms, not what people tell me that I should be. That's a little bit of the key, in my opinion.
Say if for like a brand, right? You want to have like some brand and be consistent behind it to some sense of a theme. And, you know, we've technically, I guess, started some sense of a brand over the last few months by dropping these episodes. And I've said this many times since then, is that like I'm glad I'm doing this now in my early 30s.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I would have been trying to do this in my early 20s, I would have like no frame of reference for what I thought is right and wrong and like what I stood for.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to say that a young person couldn't have some kind of vision like that, but I definitely couldn't when I was younger. And now I'm just now starting to be willing to commit to something that's like, hey, maybe in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be some common theme from this that's still there, you know?
Yeah, I straight up have commitment issues. Like I get stickers and I'm like, I'm not gonna put this on anything. I'm just gonna put the sticker in a drawer.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm just so curious on like when you come up with like this branding to market for somebody, it seems like it doesn't even have anything to do with the product more than it is just like, what is the drive behind all this? What is the purpose of why you're making this thing, whether it's giving nutrition advice or selling shoes?
So I was having a talk last week. This is a crazy story. With two founders, a drinks company that sells at Sprout and some other stores, and someone connected me with them, and pretty much I just analyzed the whole brand and I told them what I would do differently, which is something that I do. But the crazy part at the end was when I told them, like, I don't come from your industry. I come from a lifestyle industry. But I can tell you that your brand, it's not just the drink. It shouldn't be the drink. It's everything around it. It's how do you show up? It's what's the photography look like? What's the message? What's the vibe? When people see the product that they get, that's the brand. It's not the drink. Anybody can do a drink. Anybody can do a ghee. You go to Alibaba and you do rash guards. That's the easy part. The hard part is the universe. And for me, I think that what I have learned at my age is that the emotional connection that you can get from a brand is the currency. That to me is the key to any single brand product in this world. There is a reason why Porsches don't go out of style. There is a reason why uh, there is certain whiskeys that are gonna be forever because they did a really good job on just like, and I don't drink, but they did a really good job on just creating a brand that goes way beyond the drink itself. We see the same thing with certain footwear companies. But if you really think about it around you, you will see that there are things that bring you a connection. They make you feel something. That to me is when a brand did a good job. And those brands ultimately are the ones that last the longer. So when I do that branding exercise, or when I work with people, I always tell them like the idea is what's beyond the product, because if you're doing today computers but you want to do USB D, maybe in the future there is a USB D, and we also do little robots, you need to be able to include those products into your brand and make sense. Because if not, you are doing something that it's not authentic. It needs to feel authentic. And you can only do that if your brand shares an emotion, an idea way beyond than just one single thing. I hope that that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes
It's
makes
the emotion that you get from a drink, from a shoe, from a clothing piece. It's how do you feel?
It's what you feel whenever you like wear, use,
Exactly.
interact with
Exactly.
whatever it happens to be,
Exactly.
whether it be like a drink, a shoe, a fucking shirt,
Yeah.
right? Like what you were saying for skaters, if you saw somebody wearing a brand of shirt, you'd be like,
Yep.
oh,
Stussy
you're with me.
did a really good job.
Yeah.
Stussy has been doing that for the last 13 to 40 years. It was one guy, he wanted to create something different in an industry that was very corporate and kind of like copy paste. He started going with his own handwriting and doing something colorful, crazy. The ads were different, but fuck, you saw someone with a Stussy t-shirt, you know that he's one of the rebels. He's one of the misfits, but he also surfs or skates. So I'm gonna be homies with that guy.
Yeah. When we've talked so much about like the skateboarding niche, and like I agree that you could go see somebody with like a brand, you're like, oh, this guy's at least within
Yeah.
the skateboarding niche. But then there's also those like more minute differences
Yeah.
of like, oh, this guy he wears
Micro.
DC shoes. Like I'm not a DC guy.
Yeah.
So even within the niche, you have like the subcultures within
100%.
that. And I see the same thing in jiu-jitsu. Like in the time I was like a white and blue belt, we kind of made fun of people with shoulder rolls, right? Because like it was
Interesting.
mostly probably from a place of jealousy, you know? 'Cause
In
it was-
Texas. That's in
yeah,
Texas.
yeah. It was much harder to get your hands on them. They did like the limited drop kind of thing, but it was very much of like, oh, this guy's like he's fancy. He thinks he's like cooler, you know?
Yeah.
But in reality, we all wanted them. You know, it was just so much harder to get your hands on them. And
So there'll be show you roll, there'll be AMP, there'll be game plan. And if you wear, when we come out with merch, if you wear game plan, you'll be like, oh,
these guys are cool as fuck.
yeah, y'all
That's
are
it.
the actual best.
They are also authentic.
Yeah.
No, I think, yeah, you know, yeah, I can see your point.
Because you also mentioned earlier wannabe, and that was like a thing that I remember saying to other people, like, "Oh, is he a skater or is he a wannabe?"
Yeah.
And there would be like the guys where maybe they don't get the exact right brand, and maybe they don't get the jeans that are just right, and they have their hair a little longer, but too manicured, and it's like, oh, there's like the real skaters, and I don't know what a good example for a brand,
No,
maybe
I know
Stussy or something
exactly
like
what
that,
you're
right?
talking about.
But then you have like the more probably 2010s like skate culture with like some of the hip punk or whatever, pop punk, I guess would be a better example.
100%.
So you have like the pop punk era with a bunch of like skater themes with people that never actually skateboarded.
Yeah.
Do you think that's worse, or do you think it's is that worse than wearing, I don't know, whatever, like legitimate brands or whatever there are, and still not actually skating, not actually being a part of it?
I think it shows how
what I mean?
cool the culture or the community is when you have outside people that want to just like buy the thing to be in on it. But yeah, it's like the same thing I say all the time with like white belts, and I don't know if there's a skate equivalent to this, where it's like, hey man, you don't need to show your ogi yet. Like you're a brand new white belt. You know?
It definitely.
You got to earn your stripes a little bit. So yeah, I do think it's worse to like buy someone's used jeans that are torn up because they fell a whole bunch on the concrete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I saw
Instead of
that.
like wearing out your own jeans because you fell down and you scraped your knee.
What a
Or the
great use of
shoes.
earn your own stripes. Is that where that shit? Where did that shit come from? Is it probably military?
It seems military.
It seems military.
It applies perfectly
Yeah.
for jiu-jitsu though. Right?
Yeah, it's perfect
Oh,
for
yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
But in skateboarding, I saw that. I remember hearing and seeing kids buying brand new skate shoes, and they were not skating, but they would go and just like scrap the shoes, so it looked like they were skating with them.
Dang.
But if you skated, You look at the shoes and you're like, that's not normal. That
Yo, it's like people.
that didn't use them
I
for
know where.
skating.
I think I know where you're going with it.
It's like people like smashing their ear.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that too.
Oh
Against the wall,
God, that's
against doors.
crazy.
I remember in Barcelona, 2010, we had a black belt in judo, French guy, really funny. And I remember him telling me like, yes, there is this guy and he's smashing his ears against the wall. And I remember thinking, why? And he was like, yeah, because he wants to look like the part. And I'm like, wow, people really do that? So I guess that they do. They just want to feel part of it, look the part.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think like, you got to earn your stripes a little bit. Like
You gotta earn your
these
ears.
niches. But then you also have like the stolen valor.
Yeah.
But I would
Stolen valor.
I would also say that like
That's-
the
yeah.
stolen valor is like a good side effect of someone who created a cool culture though. Right? Like if you're
Yeah.
at the point where people are like, damn, these Brazilian guys, they're jacked and they can fight and they surf, they're so
Yeah.
cool. I want to have big ears like those
Yeah,
guys. Same
probably,
thing as
yeah.
oh, these skaters, they're tearing their shoes up from the grip tape. Like I want to have torn up shoes too. So I think it's cool if you've got people that are trying to
I
impersonate
think-
your style.
I think that when they go to bed, they know the truth. So
Yeah.
they need to face the truth, their own truth. That's why I really feel that it's important to be authentic.
There is definitely a guy out there who took sandpaper to his shoes and tried to hit his own ear to try to
100%.
fit into both of those. There's at least one
100%.
guy that did both of those.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I remember, so in Spain, when I started Jiu-Jitsu 2004, it was 2004. 2004 to 2010, Jiu-Jitsu was starting. So Jiu-Jitsu and MMA was seen as something very violent. So one of my first classes was with actual hooligans from the soccer clubs, because everybody was flocking there because it was, wait, I don't have to punch someone and I can just learn how to do all these things. And I remember just taking down one of the most important hooligan guys to the floor when we were drilling. I was like, oh my God. Like, and I remember one of those guys was saying like, oh yeah, no, I want to get the ears. And in my head, I was like, bro, you're a white belt. You just started, but you want to look the part as the Brazilian guys that have been doing it for years. So yeah, I think that, the stolen valor is something that, I don't know if it's cool. It's cool as a reflection of how amazing something is, but at the same time, I'm like, bro.
Yeah, that's what I always think about with people like that, and in whatever form of stolen valor you want to come up with, is like, how do you sleep at night?
Exactly.
I don't do that shit, and I can't barely sleep at night. How do you go to bed knowing that you're just like,
It's the same thing in the
Fake.
corporate world. In the corporate world, there is a lot of stolen valor.
We were talking about big brands sponsoring jiu-jitsu, right?
yeah,
Earlier.
yeah.
We were talking about earn your stripes. I was looking at your jacket. Adidas needs to run like a jiu-jitsu
They won't.
like merch campaign. And, bro, like earn your stripes. That'll be fucking sick.
They have a license. So one of my homies in New York was running marketing for them for 2 years, but it was not Adidas. Adidas sold the license to some business guy, and they were making the geese. So they had one of the Graces sponsored. I was at Adidas at that time, funny enough, and I got the Adidas geese, and they were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. But they were part of it. They didn't want to have
Damn.
anything to do with it. It comes also to expertise, like how big of a business is it? How much resources are you going to put behind it? It's better for a big company like that to be like, you know what, guys, just pay me a little bit of money, do whatever the fuck you want with this. They're going to be Adidas. Here is a little bit of Hello Kitty money for a sponsorship. All of a sudden, you can get a Gracie for it. Great. But I don't think that it went anywhere because it was pricey, and Adidas is not that much of a jiu-jitsu brand. It's more Mizuno. I think that Mizuno is good on
yeah.
on the geese for judo and stuff like that. Yeah. So I just don't see the opportunity to be financially rewarding for them.
Okay, well, if I need to shoot like a spec ad, I'm gonna make it for Adidas, and I'm gonna run like an Adidas Earn Your Stripes campaign.
Just
Okay.
do it for them.
Yeah. Well, shit for me, but for them.
I'll get you. I'll get you the contact of who runs the license, because again, it's just someone random. I got the
Yeah.
name when I was working there, and I was like, "Who's this guy? I don't know." He's the one
Yeah.
owning the license for that.
That'll be sick.
So, like going back to the what I thought was a really creative time in like jujitsu, kind of the start of jujitsu streetwear, I guess, and the really sick gi collabs. I feel like that's gone away a lot since the pandemic. And you can mention Alibaba, and that makes sense. I see a lot of people just getting like the Amazon rash guard or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think we'll have like a return to any of that creativity in the jiu-jitsu brand space, or do you think it's just going to be the big ones get even bigger and then everybody else is just buying the cheap Chinese rash guards and gis?
I think that there is always going to be expensive geese, and when I say expensive geese, I don't think that it's a negative. Geese that have more embellishments, better materials. That's always going to happen. When it comes to the partnerships, I think that I agree with you. I think that we hit a little bit of a plateau. Like, how many collabos are enough? I think that that's something like when every couple months you got a collabo or a license deal with comic character or a movie or a TV show, I think that people might have gotten a little bit like, fuck, this is a lot, right? So a little bit of fatigue there. Um, but I think that that will never go away. It just needs to make sense.
Yeah.
It just needs to make sense. So if someone wants to come out with an obscure movie that was part of their childhood and influenced the jiu-jitsu history, and they also happen to have a jiu-jitsu brand, just go ahead and just go for it. Be authentic with it. Maybe you won't sell much, but be authentic with it. I think that these days, the way that I see jiu-jitsu going, we're going to be seeing less of those. We're going to still see a lot of people investing in the $300 gi, especially in America, not in Europe. In Europe, nobody spends that much money on a gi. It's maximum 80 bucks, 90 bucks. But I think that we're still going to see that. From a partnership point of view, I feel that it's gonna be relevant to those brands that, first of all, can pull it off financially. Getting a license is very expensive, and second of all, just that feels authentic. I think that the time of just putting things out just for the sake of it is done. So
Yeah. And something that has been a sensitive point for Wiko, and I'm actually sure for yourself, is like the rules in gyms to all have the same uniform, right? Like take
Yeah.
Gracie Baja as the most classic example.
hate
It seems
that.
like both of you guys do not like that model.
No.
Whereas like I don't know what the numbers would look like, but I assume most gyms are more on the side of here's the team gi, everyone wears the same colored gi.
Yeah.
Do you think that is like a negative effect to the culture of jiu-jitsu?
I will say this: I will never be in a gym where they force me to wear something,
My man.
because
My man.
I went to a public school. I didn't go to a private school where I was supposed to wear a uniform for a reason. And censorship is un-American.
Yeah.
And I find it funny when mostly legal immigrants like myself are trying to force something on people that is actually paying. I'm very passionate about this topic. If you are paying to go to a gym, if I go to a gym to do yoga, they're not going to force me to wear the same shit as everybody else. Why does it happen in jiu-jitsu? Because it's part of a business model that somebody came up with, someone who probably was an immigrant, and hey, let's make the most money possible. Well, maybe that's an outdated point of view. For myself, I will never be part of a gym where I'm forced to wear anything. In fact, I remember, and this is just not a negative, it's just something that happened. In New York, I was at a very famous gym, and I show up on a Saturday to train. And I was wearing, I think that it was a white gi, because I only had a couple of gis. And the guy, very famous guy, came to me, Ivan, just so you know, on Saturdays, we only wear blue gi. I never went back. I was like, fuck this. I'm paying you $200 and you're telling me what I have to wear. I have to now buy another gi. I'm done. So I left. But I feel that it's an insane concept of forcing adults to buy your own stuff, and especially myself. Like I wear the craziest gis, and I want to feel my gi as part of my flow, my personality. I just don't want to feel like I'm in a private school. If a gym pays me to show up there, I'll wear whatever they want.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I come here to learn jiu-jitsu, wrist lock white belts. I'm gonna wear whatever I want. That's it.
Honestly, now that you've put it in those terms, I can start to think of the people with don't even take business into it, but just their own individual brand of who they are as a person. And there's the guys that they want to wear their funny colored gis, you know, and they will still continue to show up with them.
Yeah.
And I think these guys I'm thinking of that fit that kind of persona, they're like the last bit of that rebel culture in
maybe.
jiu-jitsu, you know.
Maybe.
The guy wearing the mint colored gi when everybody else is wearing a white or a black gi, you know, it's like that guy's still trying to make some kind of statement.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's actually a pretty cool part. Now, I'm also on the other end. I don't think that it needs to turn into a fashion contest, you know, but I do like the individual expression.
Okay.
And kind of to the same point we were making earlier about athletes not spouting off like too much crazy political stuff is like patches on a gi. Let them be Snorlax. Let them be funny. Let them say no crying on the jiu-jitsu mats. But then like I could see at a certain point of individual expression, you start putting on like your political thing on your, you know, political patch on your gi. And I wouldn't want to see it
Yeah.
go that direction, you know?
I agree to that. I think that it's two different concepts though. I think that if you, and I read this on Reddit, someone going to a gym and somebody was wearing Hell's Angels patches on a jiu-jitsu gi, and the guy was like, what the fuck? Like, I think that that's a little bit more, I don't think that that's self-expression. I think that that's more of a statement, and a statement is different than self-expression. That's my opinion. Self-expression for me would be the 10 Planet guys. They wear that crazy color rash guards. You're like, okay, they're having fun because the way
Yeah.
that they do jiu-jitsu is different, fun, good. But I don't see that the same as I saw someone in a gym here in Austin, anti-vegan or something crazy, and I'm like, bro, why do you have to be so negative about it? There is no need to be so angry about the world. And I was the vegan one, and I'm like, fuck, are we gonna roll?
That's such a Austin jiu-jitsu
Exactly.
scene
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
It's like super niche.
personality.
Yeah.
But I think that that is different from wearing something very colorful.
Yeah,
It's two different
for sure.
concepts. There
For
is a
sure.
fringe line in the middle where you can be like, is it the same? But I just don't see forcing someone who's paying for a service. I just don't get the sense of it from a consumer point of view.
It's just like a money grab / power play.
Well, there is a
Kinda
there
thing,
is a
right?
system.
Yeah.
Like this is the amount, and for those gyms that if they work for them, great. Everybody has bills. I don't have anything against it. As a consumer, I will never be part of that.
We just don't.
If
Yeah.
I ever open a gym, I will never enforce that.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's good long term.
Yeah.
That's my point of view. And I get an orange camel gi that I haven't worn yet, that I will,
That I will.
but not yet. I'm waiting.
Yeah, I feel like there's been like a death in that whole part of jiu-jitsu is like the creative express yourself side. And maybe this goes into what we were saying earlier about like the social media attacks and stuff. But even with the new brands, especially with, I feel like no-gi's more popular now. So now instead of a gi where you can add patches and a lot more colors, it's just like rash guards.
Yeah.
And I've seen quite a few, I'd say post-pandemic kind of come and go. And it's because like there's no clear emotion you get from these companies. And I'm wondering what's going to happen next, if there's going to be some people that come up with some really cool stuff that does make you feel a type of way, or if it's just going to keep being like Alibaba, Amazon, cheapest cheap stuff. And then, you know, gyms, like you said, that they tell you that you got to buy the team rash guard. And then the few brands that make it to the top, just like owning the market.
I think that there are two things that I'm saying on that based on what you just said. Two things. The first one is the economics of a family, right? If you're training with your kid and you're spending $500 a month, like the last thing you want is to have expensive gi, right? So from an economical point of view, I understand that those people might go into, let's get something cheaper that we can still train. Maybe it's a Nike t-shirt, whatever. Great. I think that then when it goes into, you say brands that come and go, it's also the fact that it's hard to start a brand these days. You need a lot of money. So I think that people that try it, they don't sell in the beginning and then they get discouraged and they stop. And then it's like, all right, we tried it 1 season, 2 seasons, but it didn't work out. Okay, great. But I really think that people that want like a really nice gi, they will still get it. Now, I think that the number gets smaller by the minute, especially with the economy these days. But I have the feeling that there is going to be a new wave of brands coming up. This is what I feel, that might not go super crazy in the beginning and they will try to grow exponentially. I want to think that that's what's going to happen because we really need, in my opinion, from a fashion point of view, we need more points of view when it comes to expression. I think that it's needed.
Yeah, I brought this back up to you the other day. I think you posted something on your story, and I want to say that it was like something about Will Smith's son and
Which one?
his fashion.
Which one?
I think you posted something on your story, and it was about like Will Smith's son showcasing like
Oh yeah.
his art or whatever it was. And I don't remember your exact point, but the feeling I got from it was like, oh, it's gone too far.
It's going too far. I think, yeah. So for those, for the 3 million people watching this, Will Smith's son is the creative director for a very famous European fashion brand. So creative director is pretty much the person that comes up with the concepts and that just creates those universes that we were talking about.
Okay.
So getting someone so young with so little experience, not just in life only, but also from a fashion point of view, because you see that the way that he talks, the way that he connects the dots, you see that he doesn't have references, that he cannot say that this shoe comes from so and so. No, he just like pretty much, in my opinion, what he's doing is taking what Pharrell was doing 20 years ago and just trying to, he gets this costume, red face, and then he creates this story that if you really hear about it, and that was the point on the video, if you really hear what he's saying, it makes zero sense. No sense. You're like, bro, what are you saying? And I said that from a, with the corporate hat on, or for the creative director hat on, that to me is a stolen valor. Because you need the reference, you need like and I do this game with my wife. My wife is tired of me already because every time that we see something, some shoes that come out or something, I'm like, oh, they are inspired by so
I
and
love that
so.
game.
But
I love like it's like finding samples in music. Oh, this came from
exactly
Chet Baker.
same thing.
This came from Sam Cooke.
So a
Yeah.
good musician will be able to do that,
Yeah.
right? But if Will Smith's song shows up and it's like, oh, I made this song because it reminds me to the time where I was swimming in money and
Yeah.
then I was, I just want to feel happy. I think that that's what he said on that video. It's about joy. And I'm like, bro,
Fuck
you're
outta here.
not like a musician. A real musician will understand the samples. He will know where it comes from. Same thing from fashion. You will see that the person is connecting the dots with the shoe and that influence and the colorway and how it all came together. And unfortunately, Will Smith's son is not able to do that. Maybe he will, but I just think that just brands these days are just hiring people just for the sake of getting a PR moment or social media exposure without the substance that's needed to run a business empire, fashion empire, business empire, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think it was at some kind of show. He came in wearing like a house on his head.
Oh, the house
It was
thing,
like
yeah.
it was like a black mansion. It was like a hat. It was gigantic, and it's like that's avant-garde at best, and really like that's not even in the realm of fashion anymore. Like you
No.
can't wear those clothes in real life. So I don't know what
Yeah,
his I don't know what his message he's trying to say is, but it's like gone too far
I
from
don't think
what
needing to wear clothes in real life dictates anything. Not that I like am a fan of house hats. But just saying.
it
my
was a
point is I'm
castle.
not taking fashion advice from the guy who's wearing a house
Sure.
as a hat.
Sure.
That's too much for me.
I've seen some wild shit, and I'm like, I fuck with that. Yeah, I seen it's fucking stupid. I seen a jacket, right? Like big coat, big kind of puffy coat, but it was like in a pattern and had all of like the texture of like a straight up Belgian waffle.
What?
You feel me?
Wow.
So it had like all the holes and like divots. I was like, I'll fuck with that.
You're the
There
same
is some
kind of.
thought there at least. At
Yeah,
least there
yeah,
is
yeah,
some manufacturing
yeah.
idea behind it. But so you guys need to check how he presented the new Christian Louboutin shoes. That was his collection, and how he presented it and the way that he talks about it. Unfortunately for me, it's stolen
Stolen
valor from
Valerie.
from very
Stolen
valid people.
Valerie. That's
It's a
just
stolen
funny.
valor from very valid people that could be just telling a story that actually makes sense. But again, I think that it all goes into longevity. We will not see these kids just doing this for much more. But
Yeah.
it's factual. I mean, it's obviously people is going to be like, all right,
But I mean,
this
that's
was a
just
good run.
that company's play at this time,
I
right?
want to. I
Take a
think so.
big name that they can
Yes,
use, right?
stay relevant, do
Yeah.
this, and get done. And there is some people that came from music. Pharrell is doing, I think, a really good job at Louis Vuitton. Virgil Abloh did a really good job at Louis Vuitton. He refreshed it. And I think that now brands, especially these big old brands managed by old people living in castles, they are like, okay, who can we get to start a little bit more of a fresh point of view, or just to refresh our consumer base? And they just went to Will Smith's son and let's paint his face red and let's try to sell some shoes. Okay.
Have you started or ever wanted to start a jiu-jitsu brand?
Um,
Whether it be in any
no,
aspect, whether it be like merch, apparel, anything.
no. I want to start a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a brand. A brand, I see how long it. I had brands before. I had the streetwear brands, apparel brands, headwear brands. It's really tough. And to be honest, there is so many people doing really cool shit. I look at the time behind it. I look at the effort and the money and the fuck man everything, and I'm like, fuck, bro. I'm too old for this.
Freaking poor
They are
baby.
doing it too
Air
well.
fist bump, Davis.
They are doing it too well. I mean, um, and I also see the limitations. Let's be honest. I also see the limitations. If I start a business, I started a business. I'm trying to do a bit. My business is for everybody. I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm just for this little portion of the population. Um, and I think that starting just a jiu-jitsu brand is very, very small. And the competition is just crazy. And here in America, every little state has one or two brands where people is very supportive of. So it feels even harder.
Yeah.
It's not like making a food company, right? Like you can sell to everybody and everybody's going to accept it more or less the same. Jiu-jitsu is very interesting. You got uh, Shoyo Roll and Albino Preto, people that I consider my friends, but they do really well in California. And okay, that's their home turf. But if you go to Ohio, I don't know how many people are going to be wearing that, but then maybe level black guys are doing really well there. Maybe Origin is doing really well on the East Coast, which I think that is the case. So it's a very interesting how everything geographically works with the jiu-jitsu brands. And I don't know if that's something that I want to deal with.
Yeah.
Do you have a name or ideas for your gym?
Well, the idea would be that I'm not gonna force anybody to wear a
Hell
single
yeah.
gi from my brand. Well, yeah, I think that the I actually went to check a space where I live, but it didn't work out. The main concept for myself when it comes to jujitsu is to have everything that I didn't have when I started, which is a really healthy space, a place that feels like home, and a place that feels like I can learn without being murdered. My history with jiu-jitsu is that it was so violent from when I started that when I moved to America and I showed up at Cobrinha, I was a fucking violent kid just trying to go for heel hooks the first day, and I nearly make someone heel explode the first fucking day. I was like, oh, maybe these people train differently. So just creating a space where you can be a little bit more relaxed, or you can go hard, but there are moments for it, or you talk about it, where there is more of a spoken um, or more times or more moments where you can actually talk with people. There are gyms that I showed up there and you don't talk with anybody. You just do the class and you barely ask questions. So just having a space that feels very welcoming, challenging, but at the same time a little bit more of a third space. I think that would be my ideal. And fucking music and just a place that feels good. In California, I used to teach and I was managing some of the open mats on Sundays. Dude, we play in the Smiths on Sundays, 8 a.m. And it felt really, really cool. Like more and more people started showing up, but I just wanted to create a space that felt welcoming, challenging, and just exciting. That you go home and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I did this." That's my whole concept around it. And I don't know when it will happen or if it will happen, but
Sounds awesome.
my wife always tells me like, "Ivan, you should do it." And I'm like, "Okay, just give me the money. I'll do it.
Just give me the
I'll do
money.
it. I'll do it."
That sounds great. And the part specifically about like you can go hard, but you kind of talk about it. I feel like the most the time the most injuries happen is when there's a inconsistency of
Yeah.
effort or
Yeah.
intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like talking about it and be like, I basically every round I go into, I'm like, do you have any issues or injuries? Like how are your parts?
Yeah.
And then secondly, sometimes I ask like, what kind of round are you looking for?
Oh, interesting.
So and that's not to say like oh I'm gonna beat you up or oh I want you to beat me up, but like when I'm rolling with certain people, I'm like, okay, do you wanna like push pace? Do you want cardio? Like less campy, less chill, holding and taking positions.
Interesting.
Do you want to move? Do you want to move? Get cardio heart rate up and things like that.
I should do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and Ivan just lie to each other and say like, "Oh, my back hurts. Oh, I'm not feeling well," and then we'll just proceed to roll as hard as we can right after that. So that's more of our strategy. Is
But
That's an approach.
try to distract
That's
him
an
at the
approach.
beginning with like, "Oh no, I'm just so beat up, I can't do anything," and then the second you get something, you hold it as hard as you possibly can.
but I think that we connect on a spiritual level.
There you
So
go. Yeah.
I know what to expect, and I think that you
Simpatico.
know
Yeah,
what to expect.
yeah.
So
You
I
know
think
I'm
that there
full of
is-
shit.
there is beauty in it.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, like, and I think that there is something magical when you roll with someone and that someone goes so hard that, like, I'm gonna like, all right, I'm just gonna be like a little pretzel and just move, and then I'm gonna catch you and I'm gonna make you tap so you relax.
Yeah,
That to me is the most magical moments. And I've been lucky enough to experience that in Austin. When I started training here, dudes, like people in Austin go fucking hard. And I trained in different places. And that was one of the most rewarding moments, just seeing how people go like fucking bat crazy without talking. So maybe
Yeah,
talking,
yeah.
that's what's so important. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the game. All right, yeah, I'm gonna smile and oh yeah, oh my god, you're so strong. And then like, oh, here is the wrist lock. I love that.
I do love like the patiently waiting through someone gassing themselves out, and then just you can feel it. We were talking about that recently on like the invisible side of jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like I can feel that you've got a lot but not enough, and if I'm patient and I have a long enough timer, I'm gonna get you by the end of this. Yeah,
That's my game.
Such a good feeling.
This last year that I had my back really really messed up, that's been my game. I just adjusted just to play the waiting. I've been also playing a lot into that mindset on giving people a lot of really positive positions and destroying that position and playing on the psychology of it. And you guys saw me. Well, I don't know if you, so, but I like to play the psychological game of Jiu-Jitsu. I let people get on mount, and I don't remember the time when I got tapped that fucking armbar the other day. But I like to play with that and let people try. And obviously, I've been training, unfortunately, enough just to be able to defend a little bit. But just getting them so frustrated that I can sweep them or open the position and then just look them in the eyes and smile a little bit. I think that I feel for me that's my game right now because I'm not as athletic as I used to be. Again, I just my back is not the same, but that's a part of jiu-jitsu that I have been exploring so much here in Austin. Everybody thinks that they are so strong, and I think that just for someone to destroy that testosterone energy with a smile or just like defending, it's fun.
That's great.
It is fun, and I personally love it.
Well,
That's
dude,
awesome.
thanks so much for taking the time
No,
to
thank
come
you
hang
for
out with us
having me.
today. Really appreciate your time, especially. I have a ton more questions for you
Wow.
off recording. But do you have anywhere that you want people to check you out? Maybe your Instagram.
Yeah, hybrid creative systems on Instagram. That's my business where I solve people's problems, and then for all my best friends, Ivan Skulls, and yeah, we can just be friends there too. SKULLS. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on,
Oh, I
man.
got one more question for you as we
Yeah.
close out. We're gonna put you in a super fight this weekend. What's your walkout song?
Shinja Aoki walkout song. Na 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 dun, 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 na 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 na. That's for those in the game long enough, they will exactly know the song. That's from the 2000s Pride times. Pride was the UFC of Japan, and Shinja Aoki always used these songs. So that would be the song.
Sick.
Let's see if we can get a little sample of it.
All the 3 million people watching this, they will be able to Google it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the song. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hell
that's
yeah.
the one.
Sick. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications if you can. Juice, you got anything?
Game plan merch. Eventually.
Game Plan merch.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for watching, and we'll be back again soon with a new episode.
Adios.
Peace. Game plan.
That was good. Thank you, guys.
Sick.